Okay. Hi again.
Hello, Bree.
So happy to be doing this again.
Mm.
And I feel like as we begin, um I can feel like a 30 conversations that we should be having. So I'm gonna try and stay on focus for today's conversation, but we'll see where it takes us.
Let's see.
Um, so in my journey over the last um probably the last 15 years, but really intensely over the last 10 and a half years. Part of what really the foundation of my work um, became was in mapping these two major bodies of reality that I talk about. And I talk about one as the adaptive body. I used to call it kind of like the addiction body or the field of addiction. I can use those phrases interchangeably. And I talk about the other one as the field of existence. And the field of existence is the giant, unwritten body of possibility that we all exist within.
Mm.
It is not just the feminine, it is not just the masculine. This is actually creation.
Yeah.
And it is creation at a physics and molecular level, at a quantum level, which means that in any given moment, we are actually architecting reality, whether we are aware of it or not. And whether we want to be doing that or not, by default, we are cooperating and co creating with unwritten reality all the time.
Yeah.
And of course, there's pieces of this that we have all watched be weaponized by New Age teachers and by New Age concepts. You know, the idea that you can bypass this other form of reality. And then we've had this backlash around it, around privilege. And, there's a billion offshoots of conversations. But for me, what I'm speaking about here is this is a fact is that we are quantum beings in a quantum reality, and that means that it is unwritten and we are always co-creating in that writing. Whether or not we truly have free will is a whole other conversation. And I will leave that out of this conversation. There is another body of reality that I talk about, this adaptive body. And this is more the kind of egoic or personal collective self, which means that over time and in many generations, we inherit pattern sets from our family, from the land, from our community, from our socialization, all of these things, including big pattern sets like addiction and systemic oppression and racism. These are all large scale pattern sets that are part of what humans have written into reality to create reality within the large field. And we have created these reality sets for quite a long time, kind of what we talked about last conversation, which is there are certain rules, certain limits within reality that we are all familiar with. And these big rules and limits we call things like racism or the patriarchy or capitalism, right? And we think of these things as things, but really what they are just architecture. They're architecture within reality that is deeply implicit in us. And when it is deeply implicit in us, we rarely question where those walls are,
Mm.
where those belief sets are, where those limits are. And we live within them as if they are the truth and accept them as limits to expression, limits to size, limits to capacity, and limits to actually what we are, not just who we are. In our world, I talk about the malignant adaptive body, which to me is the version of the adaptive body that wants to dominate and control nature. It is the version of the adaptive body that is here to siphon and extract power because, by definition, the field of existence is pure power.
Yeah.
It is pure potential. It is the only real form of power.
Yeah.
And it is the real commodity and currency between all of us, whether we regard that to be true and are aware of it or not. It
Yeah.
is the currency we are always exchanging in every conversation, even if we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
It is more profound than money, more profound than like a piece of land. Because it is the thing, those are the proxies that we are using to negotiate the real currency of existence itself.
Yeah.
So when we go into the adaptive body, there are these blueprints for how to exchange currency, where value is placed, who has it, who doesn't, what is valuable. And we're constantly exchanging this currency within those channels. When you have an awakening, if you have a really good, solid awakening, not just a touch of awakening, or you have many touches of awakening that are cumulative, you begin to engage this body of existence.
Mm.
And this is an unruly body. Let's get real here. This is not a human set of rules. This has its own consciousness, its own awareness, and my God, it is intelligence. And so it knows how to order everything, and it knows it bigger than we know as humans. And when you get in touch with this force, typically what happens is your adaptive body tries to negotiate with it. It wants to negotiate with what you're going to keep and what you're going to get rid of, what you're going to die to and what you're going to hold on to, right? You're going to now, as soon as you get in bed with death, that is the fullness of intelligence, you're going to start negotiating. And what follows from there is really, hopefully, the death of the adaptive body, particularly the malignant adaptive body,
Yeah.
right? First. And then, second, the adaptive body that is still thinking that it is in charge of ordering the world.
Yes. Yes.
And so, your devotion and your attention and your perception, all three of those things will shift over time. And I believe that this conversation is one of the most important conversations to be having because what I see is that very few people, I don't know actually anybody who's speaking about these two bodies in this way, but that we're unconsciously still referencing these two bodies, but we don't have a framework for it. And so, because we're missing the big map and the framework, we're still kind of unconsciously going between them and then having a fight about it.
Yeah.
So, I kind of thought today we would open with this kind of wide invitation, and then we can touch on these different places that really arise. And this is really the big set of body of my work, which
Yeah.
is how do you see the world through the way both these bodies behave?
Yeah.
Because they literally think they're both existence, Fanny.
Yeah.
The adaptive
Yeah.
body believes itself to be what I call primary existence.
Yeah.
And the existence field doesn't believe anything. It knows itself to be primary existence, and
Yeah.
it knows primary existence can never be taken. It can never be stolen. It can never truly be destroyed. It knows itself as the deathless, and it is not afraid, and it does not need to be protected. It only needs to be protected in a world that is scaffolded against it. There
Yeah.
are different layers and different rules here, and we're confusing these conversations like mad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I love this, Bree. And um yeah, some like to point at some things of what you're saying. I loved what you said about the adaptive body to make difference between the malignant adaptive body, but then also the adaptive body that thinks it's in charge. Um
Yes.
that which is a kind of malignant adaptive body, you could say. But what I wanna like shine a light on is that the adaptive body in itself is not bad. The
That's
adaptive
right.
body is a part of the human experience.
Yes.
It's actually what differs
We
us
need
from
it.
we
And
we,
we need it. We can't have this. If we were just
we
having a pure
wouldn't be able to
existence
talk.
conversation, we'd just be having pure sex. I mean, there'd
Exactly.
be no
That would
mediator
be nice,
involved.
but
And well, we're going to keep endeavoring to do that too.
yeah,
But this is actually the point,
yeah,
right? This is actually the point.
this is what people don't understand that have tasted the field of existence. Then they're like, oh, everything should just go there. But it's being human is having an adaptive body. Like that's the
Yes.
difference. That's what our consciousness evolved, that separates us from many other animals, that we
Yes.
have this adaptive body. And it goes back to our last conversation that there is something about this drive of separating from the mother, that you need to build up your adaptive body. And I talk about it as your ego structure, and that there's collective ego structures. So you have to build that up to be able to be a functioning human adult. And so much of like the consciousness development world but then so much of the consciousness development world focuses on the adaptive body, because it is true that you need to build up your adaptive body, and it is true that your adaptive body gets completely fucked by these patterns that you were talking about, these collective malignant adaptive body patterns that fucks up your adaptive body, so that you get scared and then the adaptive body thinks it's in charge, and all of these things. That is true, and that is something you need to work on. But if you don't get to experience the field of existence, which really, like a really powerful way, is through the feminine erotic body. Like it's an invitation into this field of existence.
Yes.
And this is what the goddesses did in the temples. And this is,
Yes.
the whole spirituality that yes, work on your psychology, work on your adaptive body, but the whole point is to dock into the field of existence. But
Yes.
since the erotic has been so, and this is the whole thing, that the
Yes.
Abrahamic religions made the field of existence sinful because it's what gives people power.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Because you have governing power there. You have authorship there.
Yeah,
Once you are fully metabolized in that space, there's a kind of authorship. We are always co-creating, but co-creating with authorship is a very different thing and a dangerous thing
yeah,
in some ways in this world that is so, to me, so undeveloped.
yeah.
If we come back for a second to this place that you were just touching on, which threads into our last conversation about the apprehension of development. And to me, the apprehension of development is right in sync with the rise of widespread colonization. And when I'm talking about colonization, I'm talking about colonization of all bodies of land,
Mhm.
including individual psyches, human nature itself. And so the colonizing of human nature has dumbed down and made fragile our capacity to actually hold real power.
Yeah,
So to me, there's two pieces here that are huge. One is that even in the psychospiritual world of development, which you're speaking to, we're not even starting in that world, understanding that like closing the gap of asynchrony that has been left over because we've shot ahead while also still being in what I call addiction, which is like a teenage phase of development that
yeah,
is not fully metabolized
yeah,
maturity.
yeah,
And then introducing real power through awakening
yeah,
into that system without these maps of these two bodies
yeah,
and understanding how they dance together
yeah,
is leaving a tremendous argumentative mess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like in in when there was elders who understood the field of existence, which
Yes,
these elders and priests and priestesses that have been, killed and shut down, and we've destroyed those lineages because the field of existence is what gave people power and authority, as you talked about. Uh, when they were in place, they would help people go through this teenage stage of the adaptive body and then themselves become elders. And
that's
it's
right.
not making the teenage stage wrong. That's also a part of
That's
of,
right.
of
That's right.
evolution. But
That's
now
right.
we're stuck where there's no elders who understand the field of existence guiding us, and it's all this malignant adaptive body. And again, back to tech, we're building tech based on a malignant adaptive body. And back to
Yes.
our last conversation, tech will always be part of the adaptive body
Yes.
because it is a human creation. It's not,
It's an
it
extension of creativity in that way.
exactly. So
Yes.
it is the adaptive body, and this is again, but we have to understand. we have to have tech that doesn't think it's in charge. We have to
That's
have
right.
tech that understands that it's in service of the field of existence.
That's it. That's it. And then we have to have humans that understand that before the tech can understand it.
Exactly.
And that is really this piece, right? Which is not just that there are two bodies and not just that the adaptive body is bad, right? So that's like, these are steps 1 through 3. But steps 4 and 5 is understanding also that these bodies have been existing. We have all been existing in a world and in a reality in which everything is inverted
Yeah.
and where the field of existence has been siphoned to be in service to the adaptive body's creations instead of the other way around.
Tell me
What
more
that
about that.
means, yeah, what that means is that the adaptive body has been primary in our reality.
Yeah.
It's what we think existence is, right? We're fighting for existence,
Yeah.
for the adaptive body to have its land, to
Yeah.
have its visibility. And in doing that, we're taking from real power in order to run it through that scaffolding and keep it in place. And so, interestingly, at this time, what we're seeing is the collapsing of the structures of the malignant adaptive body. They can no longer hold, they can't hold the expansion that we're in, but they are also exhausted from holding the held back erotic
Yeah.
that moves
Yeah.
very differently than the scaffolding of the adaptive body.
Yeah.
It's why I always say that there's two pieces to my work. One is the teaching of all of this that we're talking about, but the other is building systems and building frameworks and maps that are the way existence wants to move,
Yeah.
not the way the adaptive body thinks existence needs to move.
Yeah.
And you touched on this in that first like PowerPoint that I saw you in before I even met you, where you were talking about the difficulty of true feminine leadership,
Yeah.
which is how do we build a world that has the right scaffolding, the right blueprints for the way creation moves, which is
Yeah.
very big. It is very emergent.
Yeah.
It is not calculated. It is not preemptive. It is not about the future. It's not about the past. It's about right here in the crossroads of right now. And
Yeah.
so this is where my focus has been is how do I build systems that allow everybody in that system to come and converse in that way, because that is where generative innovation belongs.
Yeah. This is I love this, Brie, and it speaks so much to like some of my hesitation around bringing in feminine leadership into the world and into the business world
Yes.
because it's like
It has
I
no place to
bring
go.
it has no place to go
Yeah.
and it gets distorted
Yes.
and when it does, it's almost like it's fueling this malignant adaptive
This
body.
is it. This is it. This is it. This is the problem right here,
Yeah.
what you're speaking to. And it's a problem with building systems, like
Yeah.
not having the systems and then like helping the people get in touch with that.
Yeah.
But it's also a problem in just the psycho-spiritual world, which is that in some ways, when you awaken the erotic in somebody, but they don't yet have the channels for it to move in, and they don't yet have the maturity to truly hold it, you basically create a more skillful malignant player.
Yeah.
I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but you do because
Yeah.
now there's access to real power, but
Yeah.
there still isn't the real developed maturity to understand and have the humility to hold that power. So
Yeah.
for years, people were saying to me, years and years, people were saying to me, why don't you build a training program?
Yeah.
Like you have all this material to like train practitioners, train doctors. And I did a lot of that in my clinic. And they were like, you could do this and teach this and certify people. And I said, I'm not doing it
Yeah.
because I have the capacity to build the systems. And until I've built the systems, there's nowhere for them to go.
Yeah.
The erotic just gets hampered again. It just turns back on itself again.
Yeah. So what is these systems look like? Or speak more into like what is this kind of systems? What is like so it's an adaptive body that is in service of the field of existence is
Yes.
roughly I say like not the other way around.
Yes.
An adopted body that thinks the field of existence is in service of it, where it's actually the other way around.
Yes.
But what does a system like that look
Look
like?
like.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge question. And I also, like the source principles that I work with, Peter Cunning, I think is that kind of system. So it could be, yeah, one way of speaking. But yeah, I'm really curious about I know it's a huge question, but like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so there's two pieces to it. One piece to it is how you blueprint the organization itself, which is key, right? The organization itself has to have this fire in the center
yeah,
that is creation, that it's devoted to. And I mean
yeah,
that in a metaphorical way. You can think of it in personal relationship or
yeah,
marriage or partnership
yeah,
too, which is that what are you in service to here? This is
yeah,
like principle number one,
yeah,
which is that are you in service to the aliveness
yeah,
or are you in service to like the safety making?
yeah,
And it's kind of that simple.
yeah,
It is and it isn't, right? And
yeah,
yeah, so I mean, so I did this at my clinic. I mean, I didn't know back then that I was beta testing what I'm going to do now. I just didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
And so back then, I took these like different disciplines of practitioners all in like the healing field. So
yeah,
everything from primary care doctor to yoga therapist, psychiatrist, uh, nutritionist, Chinese medicine, whatever. And I put them in the same room and I created this unified language and these unified governing principles that were kind of more foundational than everybody's individual language set, right?
yeah,
Everybody had their own individual language set and background. So I came up with things that were like basic around taking patients from a place where they are dominantly colonized by symptoms that are about shining the light on colonization, right? Those symptoms are screaming, there's an imbalance here. There's
yeah,
something here that is being wanting to be heard.
yeah,
And taking a patient from there all the way to a place where they are in balance with expression,
yeah,
all forms of expression, breath, music, movement, eye contact, all of these things. And so this is the same process we're all in a psycho-spiritual journey, right? It's just a fractal example of it. So I created this like basic template for everybody. This is the phases that people go through. They are both linear and non-linear. When we look at them, we're understanding them through this view. This is what symptoms are about. This is what lineage is about. I defined all of those things. And then I put all those people into a room, and every week we shot out different patients that teams were seeing. And
yeah,
we began to alchemize the energetics through what I call quantum conversations. So there were like energetic and verbal conversations. And essentially, what I did is I created a think tank. And that think tank was in service to unveiling what was hidden, what was occluded, where the aliveness needed to be touched,
yeah,
where healing really needed to happen,
yeah,
even if it was 3 generations back. It is
yeah,
the exact same thing I do with a corporate entity. It's no different. It's the
yeah,
exact same thing I do with a piece of land when
yeah,
I'm invited onto a piece of land that is sick. It
yeah,
is like I work the land like a dowser. I
yeah,
can work a community system like a dowser. This can be done in finance. It can be done with corporate entities. It can be done with healthcare. It
yeah,
can be done with people in the arts world.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. I've got a whole process for it.
So basically, what I'm hearing you saying is that, like, when one wants to work with an individual, you first have to look at like what system is this individual in, and then look at the adaptive body and the field of existence in that system. So make sure that there is a connection to the field of existence, and this is so strongly connected to the source work that I'm a practitioner of, Peter Koenig's source principles that are all basically it's principles around um yeah that all initiatives have one person, in your words, who's connected to the field of existence of that
Mhm,
initiative. And that
mhm,
person is the one who has that connection, who knows what the
mhm,
fire is and what the deeper calling is. And the work that we do with sources, so when we do source coaching, is basically to help them heal their malignant adaptive body so
mhm.
that they can
That's right.
have an adaptive body in service of the field of existence so that they can be a better source. And it's so clear that when I work with a corporate initiative, if the source is not on board and if the source is acting from his or her malignant adaptive body, the initiative is fucked. Like it's not going to be, so it has to be, the source has to be firstly in service of field of existence and then you can go from there. But yeah, but hearing, so there has to be a field of existence and then you have to look at the malignant adaptive body of the system and fix the root causes and fix the adaptive body first. It won't help to just awaken people in the system to the field of existence.
Two things I would say. Sometimes, yes, and I would say that for me, the process is always about touching both bodies.
Yeah,
And so there's a piece of resolving the irresolved parts of the
yeah,
adaptive body,
yeah,
but there is also a piece of at the same time touching the movement of existence
yeah,
and beginning to let the movement of existence lead and architect the adaptive body.
yes.
So you
They
are
have to be at
already,
the same time.
yes, and this is part of the problem I see out there. We were
Yeah,
talking about this at the beginning,
yeah,
is that we are overworking the adaptive body.
yeah.
We're like trying to get it to heal enough to do something with it,
Oh,
and
I love
existence
this,
is
Bree.
just sitting there and
Yeah,
being like, what the fuck are you people doing? Existence is like, I am ready to have the real sex. I've been waiting to have the real sex for 20,000 years. And what are you dumbasses doing? And everybody's in a conference room spending a lot of money talking about it. And the
yeah,
field of existence is like, hello,
yeah,
right here.
yeah,
And so part of what I also do is I build scaffolding for existence to move immediately within a system, not in some future time. Because the truth is, aliveness is always on board.
yeah,
Always. And when it is given channels to run, it will
yeah,
take down that malignant adaptive body without you having to do very much.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love this. I fucking love this. And like be able to hold several truths or perspectives at the same time.
Yes.
um because what I hear you saying is that like um fix the malignant adaptive body, yes, but don't overwork. Like
Yes.
if you're not inviting in or awakening, stoking the fire of the field of existence, it won't matter because the whole fucking point is the field of
Yeah,
existence.
it'll be waiting. It's still fucking erotically
Yeah,
blocked all that time.
yeah,
It's been erotic. And further, when the field of existence is erotically blocked, it will produce and create the adaptive body in order for it to express its erotic.
yeah,
So when I teach about eating disorders, what I teach is that eating disorders are a mock-up for
yeah,
existence and power to run through because
yeah.
it has not been given a proper channel. You have to do less work with the eating disorder when you
To
have
give the
actually
channel.
listened to
Yes.
the intelligence of the
Yes.
existence field. This turns every damn thing on its head.
I can give the example of my own life. Like I got really nerdy into, consciousness development and fixing my malignant adaptive body. Like I was, really into it. And then I had this Eros awakening and I gave my Eros channels and like I was done. I didn't need to
Yes,
fix myself anymore, like
yes.
yeah,
Yes,
exactly that.
yes. And the same is true. I just want to say this, the same is true in communities.
Yeah,
So when I look at a community like in the US that, has lineage-based impoverishment, Fanny,
yeah,
and lineage-based addiction, and
yeah,
we're throwing money at these communities in some cases to try and fix these problems, we're missing the entire damn landscape.
yeah,
And I'm famous for saying, we could spend less. Truly, I mean this tangibly.
yeah,
There's less money needed. Give me a smaller budget, and I'll show you how fast we can do something different.
yeah. And you know what I love about what you're saying, Bree, that I think that's like becoming more clear to me or that I've missed a bit is because you said earlier, we talked about that, like, it doesn't help to just awaken people to the field of existence if they're in a system that has this malignant adaptive body and all the things. And then we're at the same time saying that, like, okay, work on the malignant adaptive body, but also awaken the field of existence. But I think what you're pointing to, which is so fucking important, is that it's not only about, so if you're in a company or a community, it's not only about awakening the individual's field of existence, like it's creating the actual the collective channels in the
That's right.
community of, and this is back to the source, like why did that community, why, what is it for? Like there's a collective field, and those are the field of existence channels that you have to open. So it
That's
won't
right.
work to just work with individuals and get them integrated in their eros, for example. You have to work with the collective field
Yes,
of the community's
that's right.
field of existence.
Because it is that collective field that actually is holding the pulse.
Yeah,
So it is that collective
yeah,
field that once it is enlivened and fed, this is key, is the feeding of that collective field because it has been starved out.
yeah,
So think of the collective field and the individual body. Oh, I always speak and teach in fractals, which
yeah,
is that if it's a person, they are starving. So there has to be a refeeding process in order for the field itself to show up and rise in its fluency. What
yeah,
we're creating here is new circulatory systems. They're
yeah,
not new, but we're listening to the aliveness of the field to show us where to touch, how to architect. That takes some time and a different view and framework so that we're not inadvertently trampling back on it again.
yeah.
There's one other thing I wanted to say. So, in family therapy work, which is some of my background, and in systems work in psychology, it is not unusual to have a system that is at the edge of development, meaning that evolution no longer wants to be held back in that system. When evolution does not want to be held back or can't be held back anymore, it will produce a massive set of symptoms.
Yeah.
In a family, somebody in that system will be elected to hold the symptoms.
Can I just, when you say this, produce systems, is this what you mean when you don't give the erotic or the field of existence channels, it will start channeling in very distorted ways?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. And so, what I'd say in a longer arc is let's say there's a family system, and 4 generations back, there was some form of like bad genocide, or, there was something where there was enough force coming at that lineage where the lineage shut down and completely exiled existence itself. And it went into a form of the adaptive body that was purely survival.
yeah,
And then for many generations, that template of survival, not just the belief systems, but the actual architecture of movement and breath,
yeah,
literally attention, all of that got passed on through, encoding in the womb and in the choosing of partners,
yeah,
and then in the development and incubation of children within the family and community household.
yeah,
Right? So there's allegories, there's mythologies that get passed on. Our kids don't do that. You don't aim for that, right? These are part of the mythologies and stories that are born from long arcs of systemic oppression
yeah,
and uh, being unprotected in
yeah,
those ways.
yeah,
So you get to a certain point where the body of existence can no longer be put off. And when can it no longer be put off, and it no longer wants to show up as this malignant adaptive body. So
yeah,
somebody in the system or a group of people in the system are going to show this massive symptom set.
yeah,
Well, guess what? In our world, we see that as a problem.
yeah,
We see this as something that needs healing.
yeah,
We see this as something that those people have a problem.
yeah. And Bree,
And
this is what
so
is happening in the entire world right
I
now.
know, girl. I know. I've been sitting on this fucking thing and trying not to die for the last 10 and a half years because it is literally everything. This is
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
So we're viewing this as like a problem. And guess what happens then? We send our daughters. I'm going to give eating disorders as an example because it's something that's very close to me because of the 20 years I've worked with these families. I never experienced an eating disorder myself, but I was very drawn because eating disorders encapsulate overlapping double binds. They encapsulate a system and a blueprint of war making that is irresolvable in particularly in a female body around the feminine.
Yeah.
So it pulled me in to learn its architecture. And so it feels very, very sacred to me because it taught me so much.
Yeah.
And so it certainly affects men much more than we ever talk about, but its sweet spot has been with the feminine and in female bodies.
Yeah.
And some of that is our culture and how our culture makes us vulnerable to that. And some of that is what has happened to the feminine all of these years and the potency of the erotic
Yeah.
in the feminine
Yeah.
that absolutely must run no matter what the conditions are.
Yeah.
It must run. It
Yeah.
cannot be taken.
No.
And so the fact that we are taking these 16-year-old girls, 14-year-old girls, 45-year-old women, and we are sending them to treatment. And in treatment, they are being told that there's a whole architecture here that they are responsible for healing, and they are not at once, not in 1 minute, or does anybody talk to them about what power really is?
Yeah.
How power really wants to move? How
Yeah.
power is not just a personal thing of, oh,
Yeah.
you like to write a journal about your
Yeah.
expression, or you like
Yeah.
to make art with it. That's
Yeah.
power at like step zero.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
great that we talk about that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it doesn't have a place, but we are never touching what real power is.
Yeah.
And real power is fucking violent.
Yeah.
Where's our conversation about that with eating disorders?
Yeah.
Where's our conversation about harm and cutting and all of these things that are endemic in the westernized world that
Yeah.
we are mislabeling?
Yeah. Yeah. And if you translate that from eating disorders, I mean, looking at how eating disorders arise in this, when we talk about them, women who are in these generational systems where the field of existence and the erotic has been shut down and now it's showing up with these systems. If you just translate that to the entire world of how the
Exactly.
erotic was fucking shut down so
Yes.
brutally, but all the people, like so many people who are engaged in the work of healing the world or fixing or going for this paradigm shift don't understand this and are
No,
then just bashing on the systems and telling these the bad men or the patriarchy or whatever that they need to heal, that they need to do the work
that's right.
without understanding power, like you say, without opening the channels of Eros and just overworking the malignant body, but not
Yes.
understanding how to open up the field of existence in the world.
Yes. Yes. And then there's also the rubber meets the road piece of where we are as we have this conversation today, which is that if we had had this conversation a year ago, the conditions of the timing would have been different.
Yep.
And the conditions of the timing now are also coming to somewhat of an end of the arc of victimization as
Yep.
selfhood.
Yep.
There was a whole period for about the last 5 to 7 years where
Yep.
we all as a collective had to go through this trauma piece.
Yep.
And when I say this, I don't in any way mean to say that trauma is not there or not real. I'm not saying that. But it was supposed to be phasic. It
Yep.
was supposed to be part of a phase or an arc that then takes us to the next place. And there's a whole group of our like lingo and mythology now around trauma. And literally, this is what the westernized, commoditized world does, is it takes anything that is a phase and it makes it into a fucking castle. And
Yep.
it builds the castle and the language, and then it gets a lot of streams of income to come into it, as if this is the real world.
Yep.
No, this is a fucking minute. It's a
Yep.
hot fucking minute in the world of existence. Get over yourself. Get
Yes.
over yourself. Move through the minute. You are water. You're fucking water. Move through the minute and move on to the next minute because it's here waiting for you. And until you can learn to move like that, you're still trapped. I'm so sorry.
And this is exactly what, like, what this, what we talked about last time, like this move away from the feminine, this move away, but without being guided by elders. It just gets
Yes.
stuck in the moving
Yes.
away. And
Yes.
even the people who are working with feminine awakening or women or equality or against racism, like they're also just working with the
Yes.
malignant body in this way that's not helping.
Yes. 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 I know. I
Yeah.
know. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
But yeah, but I mean, and just to like, talking about what not working, but just like what you can do. I mean, just looking at like the business clients that I'm working with right now, like just putting what all everything we've talked about, it like yeah, it there's yeah, to, again, this piece of where is the collective field of like where are the collective channels that need to be opened
Yes.
here? Like that piece
Yes.
was so powerful to me. Um, yeah, yeah,
Because once they are, that water will go there. And
exactly.
once that water goes there and it has a return,
Yeah,
there is a circulatory system that's being built there that
yeah,
is not about the commodification of the water.
yeah,
You don't have to commodify the source. There's plenty of it. We're
yeah,
never going to run out of power. We are this thing. We
yeah,
can't run out of it. We can't get away from it. We
yeah,
can pretend. And
yeah,
so, what I'm also typically saying is like, you can live in the lie. Like
yeah,
you can hold up the lie and the pretending for
yeah,
as long as you want, but eventually existence is going to come for you
yeah,
because this is what you are. And
yeah.
to me, it's right here. We might as well be playing with it because it's a hell of a lot more fun.
So much more fun.
It's
Yeah,
so much more fun. These
yeah,
other conversations are dying fast.
yeah,
And for those of us who really are here to really play in
yeah,
this way,
yeah,
we will walk out of all those conversations. I mean, this is
yeah,
what we talked about, earlier too, is
yeah,
that, I think this is also a piece that there's a lot of misunderstanding about, which is there's this weird mix of conversations
yeah,
happening in the
yeah,
energetics right now,
yeah,
where, like, on one token, like, in one way, there's this restorative justice piece that, like, we're still working.
yeah,
And, like, this justice piece in general about the fact that, like, we've talked about this before. There's a ton of like invisibility to the feminine. Like
yeah,
there's invisible labor, there's
yeah,
invisible currency that
yeah,
has never been recognized.
yeah,
And so we're screaming about getting
yeah,
these things recognized. And
yeah.
there's justification here. But how do we do this without creating more karmic harm?
How would we do it in our power?
Yeah,
Not,
well, that's it.
not creating more of the malignant body
I
through,
know.
like yeah, yeah,
You have to first do what I call erect a second spine.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I often say, you were
yes,
talking about it earlier, I often say that like the spine that we inherited energetically has become insufficient.
yeah,
It has been in collapse for
yeah,
so long, or
yeah,
what I call negotiation with reality for so long that it has become bent.
yeah,
And so there's this erecting of a new spine, and you
yeah,
don't just do that through concept. You do that through going to the edges of comfort. You
yeah,
begin to ride the edges.
yeah.
And because at those edges is where erecting happens.
Yes. And this is what we traded away when we said, yes, let's be God's children. No, we
Yes.
cannot be God's children. We need to
Yes.
be adults dancing with the field of existence.
Yes, yes, yes. And then, responsibility or being responsible moves from the energetic of that in my language to the energetic of accountability. But this is a kind of accountability that has to do with being seated in devotion to
Yes.
existence,
Yeah.
not accountability as if I am now somehow responsible for you or accountable to you because we have some weird energetic contract that says because we're friends, suddenly I'm an agent of you or you're an agent of me. No, no, it's all confused.
And that just feeds the malignant body more.
It does. It does. And it loves it. This
It
is the
loves
other
it.
thing, is it loves it. And it is the malignant body. This is the thing. The malignant body knows that it isn't existence.
Yep.
It knows it's
It's
not
its
primary
biggest fucking
existence.
fear.
It's its biggest fucking fear. So it lives in a negotiation with existence all the time
Yep.
because it knows it needs it and it knows it also wants to be separate from it.
Yep.
This is part of the individuation process in its healthy adaptive form.
Yep.
In its malignant form, it lives in terror of the death that real existence brings. So it is always fighting that death and trying to use the malignant form of death, which is annihilation.
And this exactly this explains our relationship to the feminine, like the
Yes,
deep, what's fucked up about our relationship to the feminine.
yes. And to everything, to the
Yeah.
world,
Yep.
to everything. It's so
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yep.
it's so simple, Fanny. Like
Yep.
we've just been talking about this for like less than an hour,
Yep.
right? And look how simple it is.
Yep. Yep.
It makes me excited and
Yep.
crazy and passionate and like yeah, and like alive and also frustrated and furious and
Yep.
driven and
Yeah.
all of the
Which
things.
is
It's
the thing about being alive.
That's it. That's it. I
Yeah.
always say when there's the adage of like especially when you're working with the feminine, she's been starving. I mean, the masculine too, the real masculine. Creation has been starving for
Yeah.
so long.
Been a malignant masculine-ish body.
Totally, totally. And so, part of the process definitely is this process of coming into your true appetite.
Yeah.
What is your real appetite?
Yeah.
And I'm known for saying that I am unapologetically voracious, right? Like
Fuck yes, me too.
I am voracious, but I only want the real thing.
Yeah.
And when it's not the real thing, I won't go near it. Like
Yeah.
I won't stay there, Fanny.
Yeah.
And the thing with the malignant body, and this is such an interesting like sub conversation, the way the malignant body works is that it is very good at signaling.
Yeah.
The malignant body knows the signal of the siren.
Yeah.
It knows the signal of the existence field. So it puts out the signal, and we are drawn to
Yeah.
the charisma of the signal.
Yeah.
But you will only know that there is nothing underneath it, that it's empty underneath until you know what fullness is.
Yeah.
And once you know, even if you're starving in that fullness because the world is shitty, you
Yeah.
still know that fullness. You
Yeah.
know that veracity.
Yeah.
And that veracity has an aesthetic and a palate.
Yeah.
And it only wants to eat what is true.
Yeah.
And it will not touch it. And then this is how the conversation goes. So the malignant body will call in a person who is in power. And if they have not yet developed their power fully, then there will be a dance that will happen there. And that dance will actually be an invitation for both players to come into their power.
Yeah.
And both will be challenged by that conversation
Yeah.
because it will have so many different fractals and so many different karmic threads. But these are very potent evolutionary conversations
Yeah.
that if you can stick with this, both players will be transformed in the way they have the capacity to be.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is we have no frameworks for those
And you mean the
conversations.
conversation between the malignant body and the field of existence? Yeah.
Yes, in
Yeah.
both players and in the space, the subspace between them.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
These
so you
are
mean
what,
like an external person actually coming into it? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
both and, right?
Yeah.
Because we're facing this externally all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So both will be invited into erecting their separate poles of power.
Yeah.
That's why they're in the relationship, in
Yeah.
the inner relationship and the outer
Yeah.
relationship, right? So you'll decide. Both players are deciding to take it up. Eventually, if both do not take it up, separation will occur.
Yeah.
And one will go on and keep developing power more and more. This is not just interpersonal relationships, this is any kind of evolutionary relationship, and we all have them. We
Yeah.
outgrow people, right? But we don't have to as fast as we do. And part of the problem is we don't know how to develop a relationship across time that is devoted to evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, this is like, I mean, just a personal reflection or story about that, like in a conflict, and this idea of like not like if you see if the person is down in a hole, in his or her malignant adaptive body, and and not to go down in the hole with that person,
Yes,
but to stay at the edge of the hole and stay up there and say, I'm up here. I'm in
that's
my
right.
power. I'm in my
That's right.
truth. I would love for you to meet me up here. I'm not going to go down in the hole with you, but I'm going to stay up here and stay at the edge.
That's right.
And that is because just leaving the person in the hole is also not
That's
true.
right.
That's
That's
not
right. That's
true.
exactly right. That's a running from love,
Yes.
not a staying with love. We talked about this in between these public conversations
Yeah.
too, right? So it's like, how do you hold love even when somebody or a group, it doesn't have to be a person,
Yeah.
is in a malignantly dominated field?
Yeah.
But there's another piece to this too, which I find fascinating is that in the past, exactly what you're speaking of would have worked. You could stay at the edge of that hole, and eventually the person in the hole or the group in the hole would come up and meet you because you'd be holding the frequency of the true signal.
Yeah.
And the true signal will always be more clear than the adaptive malignant signal.
Yeah.
It's just you're touching fire. This is extorting fire.
Yeah.
There's a whole translation happening here. There's no translation happening here.
Yeah.
So the non-translation will always be the clearest signal.
Yeah.
But now here's an interesting like thing that the world has built, which is that, and we can talk about this as men in the world in like, but we can
Yeah.
talk about it all over the place.
Yeah.
I know people will be listening and thinking about this. So what I'll say is that partially the problem is we have built a world where the people in the hole don't have to leave the hole.
Yeah.
And why do they not have to leave the hole? They don't have to leave the hole because the world has been built for entertainment and compensation.
Yeah.
And so they can stay in the hole
Yeah.
and they never have to move, even if the signal is still here. So you know what happens to the signal holder up here is eventually they get to the 60th of the gates that they've been at with the person in the hole, right? Again, this is not just a person, this is a group, this is a field. The
Yeah.
malignant body is not about a person, it is a field
It's their
within
generation,
existence.
all the people behind them and everything,
That's
like their
right.
whole.
That's right. That's right. And even worse, and if this person here has not enough community support,
Yeah.
if they don't have enough infrastructure, they will keep
Yeah.
collapsing and re-erecting.
Yeah.
So, in olden times, in indigenous times, if somebody was holding the malignant field, what would happen is they would be surrounded
Yeah.
and that surrounding, and they would not be shamed, like this is not that. They would be surrounded by the force of love.
Yeah.
And that force of love would be powerful enough to
Yeah.
transform the malignant field. So
Yeah.
when I had my clinic, this is fascinating, and I was hiring people, they would come in and they would have to go through somewhere between a 3 month to 1 year process of kind of decolonization from the regular system. And I learned very quickly there was a certain amount of people I could hire, Fanny, and a certain amount of body of existence that I had created with the existing staff. And there was a tipping point. Too many new people.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
And this is what you can do in communities too.
Yeah.
You don't have to decolonize the malignant body over everybody. You have to understand
Yeah.
the physics
Yeah.
of love and the
Yeah.
malignant body. And
Yeah.
when you understand the physics, there's less talking and
Yeah.
there's more mechanics. This
Yeah.
is in the mechanics of the architecture more than it is in the psychology.
Oh, Brie, I love this is so true. And 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 again, zooming out to the big world that we're in right now, we are creating a like we can create now technology that allows people to stay in the hole. And this is what we talked about
Yes.
last time, that it will just make people addicted
Yes.
screen scrollers. Or we can create technology that supports this
Yes.
field of love that you were talking about. And it's now that
Yes.
we're
It's
making
right
these.
now.
It's
It
right
is a
now.
we are in the most pregnant now.
And
Right now.
And I also just want to add that I really think there's a really powerful invitation, especially, I mean, there are actually they're equally powerful men and women, but there's something about men when I invite just men in my life to back me in service of love, like they fucking love it. Like
They
that's
love
what
it.
they're here to
They're
do. Like
made
I
for
almost
it.
start crying when I think about it because like
Yeah.
I feel it in their whole system that
Yeah.
they're like, thank you for letting me
Yeah.
stand in your tribe behind you in
Yeah.
service of love. And if I'm not asking from love, if I'm asking from my malignant body, like, my
Yes.
best guy friends will be like, Funny, like, I hear you. I'm sorry. I can't support, like, I have your back, but not this time.
Yeah,
And
which is
every time.
exactly their right position. The
Exactly.
discernment of that,
Yeah.
the razor sharp clarity of that
Yeah.
is part of the masculine principle. It's
Yes.
the clarity of you don't touch that when it's in the malignant body. It
Yeah.
isn't that you go therapize the fucking malignant body.
No.
We have it so wrong. We don't understand the physics, we don't understand the mechanics, and we don't understand the place of psychology in all of this. So we have over applied psychology where it's something else.
This is the whole like individualistic paradigm
Yes, it
that's so
is.
fucked up. It's back to the point what I've loved, about awakening the collective, the channels of the erotic, and you can't just do it individuals. You have to look at the whole system. But it's also about this. Rather than looking at the people in the hole and helping the people at the hole, look at the people who are standing at the edge and how do you
Yes.
build a system of
Well,
support around those
that's it.
people?
That's it. Because in some ways, even if you paid more, and that was goes back to the two bodies at the beginning. So you touch the field of existence where existence already is
Yeah.
more than you pay attention to this, like trying to get people out of the hole. And look, if you think of everybody and the land of everything as one system, which it is, one intelligence, this is all one body. We are one body. We are one song. We are one symphony. We are one intelligence. None of us exists separate.
It's the malignant body that has created this system that is a
Yes,
system that keeps us in the hole. Because if
that's
we
right.
stay in the hole, then the malignant body is the existence. The
Well,
hole is the existence.
that's it.
And the malignant body doesn't have to be called out that it's actually not existence because
That's
it can stay in
exactly
the
right.
hole.
And we have a chance. This is in all the enthusiasm you just said is how I am when I teach it. And I'm like, get with the program now. We don't understand. We have no time to waste because now is the time to really support the field of existence
Yeah.
because it is here. It is more available than ever before.
Yeah.
Look, it was here 5 years ago. It was here 10 years ago. It has always been here. But for many, many generations, it was very buried.
Yeah.
And so access to it was locked away for a variety of reasons. It was shadowed for other reasons, but now it is here. We can actually touch it and build from it. It's ready. It is available to us. And instead, we're looking over there and we're fighting the fight over there.
Yeah.
I am famous for saying to people, pull your energy out of the fight.
Yeah.
Pull it out of the fight and
Yeah.
begin applying your energy to where you are afraid to move.
Yeah.
All the places where your biggest fears are about riding the edge. What is the conversation you haven't had with yourself and somebody else? Where is the place you know you belong, but you're still letting yourself stay stuck?
Yeah.
Where are the edges to the thing you've always known you were supposed to do and you're not allowing it? Touch existence now.
Yes. And you know what, Brie? This malignant body story that is keeping us in the hole is telling us that, like, that this what you're talking about really being in the field of existence, they're selling it's selling the field of existence as heaven, as some peaceful place where you
Yes.
could just relax and be a child and be taken care of. That's
Yes.
not what the field of existence is.
No.
The field of existence is fucking scary and
Yes.
challenging, and it
All the
requires
time.
everything all the
All
time.
the time.
And
You
it's
never get like
epic.
a convenient break.
No,
I
never, ever, ever get a break. But it's so fucking magical.
I
Like
know.
it's why we're here. Like it's everything.
I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. I know. It is a stupendous time to be gifted with being alive in a body.
Yeah,
It truly is. It truly is. I mean, the collective history, the collective karmic history around the devastation and the extraction and the domination over all bodies of land in existence that we all have as a shadow behind us, as the ghost behind us, to meet at this point and be able to create at this particular time in reality, to me, is a massive gift. I do not want to die anytime soon. Like, I want a long lifetime in this lifetime. I want to be able to, I am so fucking here for it.
yeah,
It just feels like an incredible blessing.
yeah,
Um, and one that for many of us, we have had many lifetimes that have been hard in order to get to this one and like bring something to this one. Yeah, feels amazing.
maybe that's a good place to end. Yeah, thank you so much for this, Colby.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.